I think they'll be all right next season, just because there's other bit.
Yeah.
But I don't.
There's other worse teams.
Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asked the questions on Blakey's Bootroom. Will always be blue.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the first Blakey's Bootroom of the new season. A new season, a new division, but the same familiar faces in here, unfortunately. Nathan and Steve in the studio. Good to see you both, chaps. Good summer.
Yeah, pretty decent. Not over yet. Kids still on.
It is, Blake. We're back to work. Yes, now.
The football started. It's all over now. You can put your speedos away, hang them back up in the cupboard.
I have done already. They never came out. But yeah, good summer, mate. Really nice. Nice to be back. Nice to be back.
Good stuff. Let's talk football then. Obviously, lots of transfers and things to maybe talk about a bit later on. But let's start Friday night at Ewood Park, Blackburn. A decent result when you look at it. What did you make of the performance as a whole? Are we positive? Are we concerned? That's the question we've been asking people.
I think, you know, as you say, you've got to say a good point. Maybe a little bit disappointing, actually, just the point, because I don't sure Blackburn offered that much, and Cardiff got a good goal, and then were pegged back. So that was the good thing. The point, opening day up at Blackburn, nice. Personally, performance-wise, I thought very similar to what we were saying at the end of last season. I thought under Solskjaer,
disjointed.
They looked a little bit like character, or they're still. I think they still look like they're searching for their identity as a side. Point. Yeah. So I think it was a night that left those people who have doubts about Solskjaer won't have had them eased looking at that game, despite the result. I think whatever question marks hang over him, they still hang there. And but there were positives, you know. Kenwyne Jones in particular, I think a lot of people were kind of impressed by him. Defensively as well, which was at the end of last season again, when the relegation, that was the big concern from a lot when we look back at things like the Hull game and the Palace game, was how fragile defensively they were. They looked a bit more solid. I thought Matt Connolly had a good game. I thought Mark Hudson had an okay game, and
especially for two who haven't played for so long.
Yeah, I mean, but we were saying earlier, was the funniest thing in a way about it was, you know, they've had all summer. Ollie's had all summer to get these things together, and he's like, yes, I've done my business early, and then the week before, suddenly it's like, oh, hang on, we haven't got any centre halves, you know, which I know there's been injuries and all that, but I thought that was a little bit of an oversight. But on the whole, I'd have to say could do better.
Well, what about the team selection? Most people were surprised with that at the start, weren't we, with
with Lafondra on the one side and
Kenwyne and his name has gone out of my head now. Who do they have up front? Lafondra, Kenwyne Jones,
Maynard
on the left hand side. Yeah. I was going to help you out. I just
don't help him out. Let him go.
Always fires me.
He won't help you.
No, exactly. Yeah, no, but it was an interesting front line, I have to say. I thought Jones done very well. I thought Maynard done well. I even thought Lafondra done well, but I wouldn't say you got the most out of them in Lafondra and Maynard in the positions they played. What's going to be interesting is if you're asking two strikers to play those wide roles, there's going to be you're going to need far more rotation amongst those front three. Yeah, those two wide players have got to be. One of them has got to almost make up another central striker, or play a bit deeper, or sometimes pull a bit wider. They've got to be almost have license to roam, the two wide men, because you're asking two strikers to play as almost wingers. Yeah, and believe me, it's a difficult task. I think when Noon comes back, I think that'll be, you know, very encouraging for who plays where. But then you've got a different conundrum. Then you've still got Makeda to come in, and then it's Lafondra or Maynard who's gonna sit down. If Noon comes back and goes straight back into the team, you know.
You'd expect it. Safe to say these are a long way off what you would perhaps expect.
Well, I was disappointed. If I'm totally honest, I was, you know, I was disappointed with not what can I say? Not the players, but I just thought we just looked a bit. First half, I thought we looked decent. Second half, we just seemed to go a bit scratchy and a bit like, you know, we weren't organised as well then. Let's say that. We weren't as organised as I thought we were going to be. I thought we'd be a really solid unit. And then kind of, like I always say, play your way into the game gradually and, you know, try and get a goal. If you get a goal early, great. But if you don't concede.
They kind of did the opposite of that, didn't they? They sort of started okay and then kind of lost their way. The substitutions didn't help again. I thought there was a lot of erratic substitutions off the bench.
I was disappointed in Kenwin coming off because, like, from a striker's point of view, and no one's going to know this better than, you know, Ollie himself, because he was not just a magnificent striker, but a magnificent substitution striker. You know, even when you're tired, you know, that last 10 minutes, 15 minutes is when centre halves usually start to blow a gasket, and that's where you usually get your goals, last 10, 15 minutes. So I was kind of surprised that he didn't leave Kenwin on, especially if Kenwin needs the fitness as well. Or he's, as far as they were concerned, he is very fit at the moment. I was surprised he didn't stay on and try and bag a second goal, because I felt he could have scored a second goal, most definitely. And with the strikers, you know, you go in fits and starts. Once you start well, he would have been in the frame of mind where, you know, no pressure. If an opportunity comes now, I'll just, you know, as long as I hit the target, I've already got my goal. So you tend to score in 2s and 3s then. So, you know, and those little things are the difference between winning and losing for me, or winning and drawing, as it was on Friday. So
I think it's a big season for Kenwin Jones, isn't it?
Oh, that's massive.
I mean, he should.
There's no one in our league that can touch him if he's on song.
Logically, he should be a smash hit in this.
There's not many players in the Premier League, not many defenders in the Premier League. I think I said in my column that could be able to handle Kenwin on his day. So you just got to make sure that he has plenty of good days. Out of the 40-odd games this season, you'd expect to see him, you know, feature prominent in at least 30 to 32 games this season. And that can be the difference between top 2 or top 8, really.
It's slightly funny, because only a few weeks ago we were talking about we hadn't seen Kenwin Jones. I know there was personal...
It's funny,
there were personal issues, I think.
And the general feeling was he's going to be gone. If they can move him on, they can...
Not me. I think you recall I said I think the last show we did, I said, you know, he could, instinct tells you he could and he should be a big player at this level. You know, like a lot, you know, you'll know better than anyone, Blakey, with strikers, a lot of it's mental, isn't it? You know, it's like the confidence thing you spoke about. If someone like Kenwin Jones, you know, he got the goal there, good goal as well, well worked and all that, nice goal from the set piece. If he can then, you know, get a bit of momentum going and feel a bit loved, you know, at the club. Well, you know, here's your shirt. You know, this is your shirt for now. Early on, if he can get on a bit of run and a bit of confidence and in a good place, he should be more than a handful for all these defenders in the Championship. So you know, it's just interesting. I mean, I think a lot of people would like to see. You talk about Noon being fit. I think that's going to be a big fact. I'd love to see Noon back. A bit of width.
Because you don't get crosses from the two strikers, you see.
A bit of width, you know, Nooney when he's ready. And on the other side, someone like Kenwin and Makeda. Do you know what I mean? That's got a good ring. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. Kenwin there with and someone busy like Makeda, who apparently is carrying a back injury or whatever. So you know, he's fit. Or even Lafondra, who is always going to pick you up stuff in the box. So there's options there.
I don't understand why Daly didn't play that further forward. as the.
I thought midfield they were very poor.
They were
Whittingham was having a stinker as well.
Whittingham and Daly as a 3.
Yeah.
That's to me that's a bit too light in midfield.
I know.
I have to say. I think
Particularly when Whittingham is having one of his kind of like days, which he did. I thought he was poor. I know he's class, so I don't worry about that. But I just thought he had a few.
I still say you need someone who can do the Whittingham Gunnarsson role. I think Gunnarsson, when he plays deeper, I think if you watch the game, he doesn't go and receive the ball very often from the back 4 players, which I think you need to do, especially at this level. And then you've got Whittingham further forwards. But if you remember 2 seasons ago, Whittingham was having to do the defensive deeper role to get things going, and then move forward in a attacking capacity to get the shots and crosses and thread the passes. So for me, you need like a player who can both command and tackle and is strong, but can pass the ball.
What is this? Is this new kid? What's it? Adami? Is it?
Well,
is that him?
The Cardiff midfield will be Whittingham, Diggerchoy, and Adeyemi going forward. You would have thought, wouldn't you?
Well, that seems the logical choice. But
he came on. What did you make of him? I didn't play for that long, but he came on.
Ran around.
Yeah, it's just
linked up with him.
Yeah, it's difficult for him. I mean,
you need to see him over 5 or 6 games. Yeah.
But he comes with great. I know. From what I can gather, people, Birmingham fans were not very happy to see him go, which is always when they're waving him off on the bus, you're kind of like, hang on a minute. But so when there's that kind of like annoyance,
it's important as well that one of the midfielders, gets into double figures this season. I think that's going to be very important.
Yeah.
And the start we're playing with Cameron up front, there just weren't enough crosses in the box. Our goal come from a set piece, which we're dangerous at set pieces, but in general play, you didn't feel like, we get around the back here and crosses and Kevin coming in, and
there weren't enough chances created from open play. Quite simply, that was a. And if you want to worry about anything, and as we're all Cardiff City fans, you obviously want to worry about something. That is the thing that concerned me, was there wasn't a fluency. You think back on the game, you don't, so-and-so to so-and-so, a good save from the keeper, little flashes, but you feel a bit weird on the first game of the season being so critical, don't you? You're hoping that it's just...
Well, it's a momentum thing, isn't it, with the league, but what you would hope is that you gain your momentum pre-season sort of thing, even though those games don't count. If you lose, the difference is you try not to ponder on it because it's not worth anything. You just try and improve for the next game, make sure you don't make those mistakes, whatever. So during pre-season, you would hope that you're going to lose 1 or 2 games, but you gain the momentum that brings you into the season where
but that's the point, though.
The solidity and what have you.
That's one thing I'll say about Solskjaer. In the pre-season, about this momentum, he was playing 2 up top, but in the pre-season friendly, he was playing a completely different system. And then suddenly, where you should be building that momentum, you know what it's like with the pre-season. You start off with you experiment a bit, and as you get closer, the Wolfsburg game, you hone in what you think. This is what we're going to be going. But then we come to the opening game of the season, and in typical, you've got to say it's typical Solskjaer fashion, he rips it all up again, goes through a completely different system. And I know his hand was forced by some injuries, but a new bunch of blokes, and that, I think, is what is worrying fans right now. Is that inability
in that league, that will be in this league, that will be his undoing if he keeps thinking.
I tell you what, on Friday night, every other Championship manager sat around the telly with their cocoa, will have looked at Cardiff and thought, I'm not worried about that. I'm looking at that, and that doesn't worry me that much. I think we can cope with that, and that's not a good way to be.
Indeed. Let's have a few comments then. Plenty of them coming through. Blue Jay just on that point saying, I'm sure Blakey would have been ecstatic to hear Ole in his Sky interview after the game stating that he's going to be using lots of different combinations of players and formations throughout the season.
It's a note of sarcasm.
Very much the Tinkerman returns, he said. I mean, in terms of a bit of a mixture maybe on how people view it. Alex saying a well-earned point in the end.
It was a well-earned point.
But a little concerned about the style of play and perplexed by the way 1 or 2 of the players were used. Matt Connolly, man of the match by a country mile. He said a few people have been very
Connolly's weird, isn't he? This is the strange thing.
Never let us down.
He always starts the season.
Yeah, but he
started in the Prem.
Down.
He started in the Prem last year.
Yeah, but he knew he was going to go.
Yeah.
And the season before, played the whole season right back, covered at centre back when he was needed. You know, never let the club down. Got his fair share of goals.
I think he's a real asset to any squad.
I don't know why he
scored a few goals.
Well, that's what he does.
Yeah.
He popped up with a few important goals. And I tell you what, crikey, you don't get a guy who knows how to get out the Championship better than him. He did it like 3 years on the trot one or something. Yeah. So he's got all the attributes. And as that chap said, I thought, yeah, I agree. He's definitely standout man of the match for Cardiff at Blackburn.
Let's have a few more then. I'll reel off a few. Steve Williams saying I was at the game on Friday and couldn't understand why Solskjaer started with 3 strikers, Lafondra, Jones and Maynard. Lafondra ended up either on the wing or so far from the front two. The game totally passed him by. I think most people would agree with that. Adrian saying we need to play with 3 central defenders, which will help and allow the full-backs to push on. Again, Fabio had a couple of good, typical Fabio, wasn't it? Really, a couple of good surges forward.
Forget Fabio. Somebody tell me about Brayford. What did you think of? I thought he was a bit. I wasn't.
I thought he was decent.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought Wolfsburg he was decent. I thought Blackburn he was decent. I think he's still, he's still got to find his feet.
He hasn't got much forward momentum. I thought that was his game.
He was expecting to see like
bombing on Roberto Carlos.
Yeah,
I was thinking. And why does he look like one of the Jedis from like? he looks like he should have. He looks like he should have a hood on. Brayford, you are. Honestly, I thought he looked great though. By the way, I don't want to diss his appearance, but I wasn't sitting there like thinking, wow, this guy's the best right back in the Championship, as he's often billed as. By me.
Give him a chance.
Give everybody. This is the thing today, isn't it? It says we're gently. You know that Cardiff are we're gently warming up the Bootroom, aren't we? Our critical thing. We're being nice today. Right.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Just got that off my chest.
Different things. A couple of people impressed with Kenwyn. Ben simply saying Kenwyn is a donkey, he says, which obviously you don't agree with that one. Blakey, it's been compared to Eddie Johnson here. It would seem that seemed a little harsh.
not in a good way, obviously not.
No, not in a good way. But Jacob just making a point. He was good, but he came to pre-season late. He's not even fully fit yet. And still he scored a goal and had a pretty good performance, so that's promising. Cup game tomorrow, isn't it? Tomorrow night, Coventry away. I think Ollie's already said it'll be a complete second team. Not to bring up the old.
It'll probably be a complete second team at Huddersfield with it.
Well, indeed. Who knows? The old cup debate. I mean, how would you approach this cup, the League Cup? I know you're a big FA Cup fan, but
I just think this stage of the season, no one's going to be complaining that they're tired. So you use this game to put a whooping on someone if you can. You go to Coventry and you slap them around 3 or 4-0. Day off Wednesday, everyone comes back refreshed. Thursday, light session Friday, and you go ready for Saturday. So for me, I'm again, it's like you're treating it like a friendly, and if you're going to do that, don't say that like 4 or 5 days before you're going to do it. Do you know what I mean? Keep those decisions closer to your chest, man. People don't need to know. Players already straight away mind switch off. Your mind switches off when you're away from the game, but it never really switches off, if you understand what I mean. So straight away now, it's not important. It's Mickey Mouse. I wouldn't be surprised if we went up there and lost the game, to be honest with you, because as the manager, you have to be really careful what you say. You know what I mean? Affects your players, simple as that. So you don't let them down. At this stage of the season, you try and keep them up. Right? We're working on things. Our philosophy, we're trying to implement this or that. It might be more difficult at Blackburn, but you're playing lesser opposition today. So it might take you 60 minutes to break them down, but once you do, this is what we're trying to achieve. This is how we want to play. Do you know what I mean? Not right, you 11 off, you 11 on. So, it's, but I'm not the manager. He gets paid for his decisions and you have to live and die by them. So we'll see how it goes.
I agree with Blakey on that. I think even if you're thinking of playing a different 11, I don't think you come out and say, oh, I'm going to rest all these guys and bring in another
Yeah.
Hey, so it's disrespect. It gives away your hand, and it's completely unnecessary. You could just, if you just say like, you know, well, we'll see who's fit and who's available. That's how I'm going to play. I think again from Solskjaer that shows a lack of experience at this level. Yeah, a bit of naivety. You know, you wouldn't need someone like Warnock or Pulis.
Why would you want good honesty? It's nothing to do with honesty. It's to do with what's best for the team.
If people were honest, can you imagine? The interviews would be 10 times better, man.
Well, yes, that's what I mean. You know how often do you speak to a manager or a player who just gives a stock answer?
But that's what you would expect. That's what he would expect. It's like Friday night, Connolly, Hudson, brilliant, fantastic, blah, 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 blah. Next breath, yeah, but I'm looking for a centre half. It's like, you know...
It's like saying that they're good, but they're not good enough.
They're not good enough for me. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, the idea is to inject confidence into your players, you know, and keep injecting confidence into your players and keep them up. So for me, I was just like, well, why, you know, all you'd have to say is, yeah, I'm still looking for 1 or 2 more players.
I'd quite like them, I think, the same as Blakey says, I'd quite like them to play quite a strong side at Coventry. I don't see any, you know, when it comes to fitness, why don't they play people, Kenwyn Jones or something, if when it comes to momentum? Like I say, you know, it's okay, it's only the Capital One Cup, it's only Coventry, whatever you want to say about it. You arrive in the next day for your warm-up, you know, whatever. There's a bit of a buzz, you know. You've done Coventry 4-0. There's a bit of a buzz. Okay, not all the guys are involved, but those guys who did are buzzing. They're passing that on to everyone.
If you're a striker and you've scored a couple of goals, if you're a midfielder and you've nicked a goal, or, you know, you could even go and win 1-0 in the last 89th minute. But that surge of, you know, that uplift that the team would get, the squad would get, just from nicking that 89th minute goal 1-0, doesn't matter whether you're playing Coventry, Carlisle, or, you know, West Ham United. It doesn't matter. You know, winning is what breeds winning, basically, winners. So to me, it's. But hey, everyone's got their own philosophy. Everyone's got their own way. We could be sat here in 5 games' time saying, well, he done the right thing as far as he was concerned. Resting the 11, and look, we've gone and won, you know, 3 league games back to back.
Hope so.
Indeed, that's what it's all. Because we always say it's a tough league. You look at some of the results. So Norwich and Fulham both lost in their first games. Well,
I think Cardiff did the best of the relegated sides. So there you go. What are we moaning about? I don't know.
I mean, defenders-wise, you mentioned Hudson and Connolly there, and the fact he's still looking for someone. We think Michael Keane, the Manchester United youngster, is pretty close. Depends on, I think, if United can.
Another United
their targets. Yeah, another United player.
Seems to be the same thing all the time. Instead of looking where you know rather than looking where you don't know. If you're going to find a rough diamond, you know, if you look where everyone else is looking, the obvious, you're not going to find it. I'm not saying it's a bad signing. I'm not saying it's a bad move, but I would like to see us maybe look in other directions.
Think outside the box.
Yeah, but it's a bit too obvious to me.
Looking around Europe.
Yeah, I think the Europe.
No, they need to. They need to, because if you want to access the free market, it is ridiculous with players foreign.
But Keane is meant to be good. He's played a few times in pre-season against some pretty good teams.
And he was at, was it Blackburn?
He was at Blackburn.
And Derby.
Yeah, Blackburn, although he did very well.
And apparently really impressed there. Yeah, he's a young guy, but you know, he's experienced at championship level. So,
do you know what I would have liked to see? I would like, rather than go and get 2 or 3 strikers, because I know we had like still Joe Mason as well to come back, who I think is, you know, should be given an opportunity.
He's gone to Bolton.
Yeah, he's gone back, but he was here for the Wolfsburg game, wasn't he?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's only just gone.
I would like to have seen him given his opportunity, because I think Joe is a very, very good player, almost underrated by our club and its current staff. But I would like to see him stay, maybe not sign 3 or 4 strikers, and sign a central midfielder, knowing that much he was going to go, and the centre half, and then look at getting maybe the cover striker. I think we've, you know what I mean?
Top heavy.
You tend to build from back forward. We've kind of I think people the club are carried away with this, you know, score more goals than anyone. Do you know what I mean? But to score goals, you need to provide chances. And if you ain't providing chances, you're not going to get many goals. So it's it's a bit of a catch-22. But I would like to see us go the other way. I think you can't afford to get 5, 6, 7 games into this season, still finding your best 11 sort of thing.
When he said before the season he knows his best 11, he said that before the Wolves. He said, I know my best 11.
Hey, Joe, I say a lot of things, and nobody believes me. But yeah, well, you know, he's...
Somebody making the point here, I can't quite see who it is, just saying, Tanis, I think it says, that you seem to be forgetting that we were missing half our team in the last game, you know, and if they were all fit, then he would know his starting. Well,
Makeda was out.
Well, we don't even know if he's first choice. Lafondro's bored. He's bored and played out of position. Maynard's come back. He's played out of position. So Lafondro's bored. He didn't play at centre forward. So why would Makeda play before?
Is this Guerrero? Is he unfit as well? What happened with him?
We haven't seen him. Don't know if he's going to fit into. We can't. The problem is, if Ollie's saying he knows his best 11, I challenge on that all day, because one, you haven't got all the players fit, like it's just been mentioned. So how can you know your best 11? Because those are players you've bought.
Is it suggested that he's got an injury crisis?
Do you understand what I'm saying? If the players you bought and they haven't played, how can you know they fit into the system or fit into the team exactly how you expect them to? You don't know your best 11. It's impossible till everybody's fit.
I got a bad feeling.
Carl's saying here, Blakey needs to take his tablets. Why is he so down?
No, I'm not down. I'm not down. I'm not down at all. I just like at this stage of the season, first game, usually it's all done and dusted. Do you understand what I mean? It's okay saying, oh, I'm going to do another deal here or another deal there. But at this moment in time, I'm just thinking to myself, right, you settled 11 or you settled 16 is what? I don't think I could name I could name 16 then, squad of 16. I'm not sure who I'd leave out, who I'd bring in. Do you know what I mean? It's going to take probably 6 or 7 games, and hopefully you'll see everybody in those 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
You know, Ikram, Dali, is he playing further forward or is he going to play in 3? Are we going to play 4-3-3, 4-5-1, 4-4-2? We don't know.
We don't know.
So I'm not down, but I will take a chill pill. If that makes you feel better.
Take a chill pill.
Bring back Blue saying Solskjaer doesn't even know his best 39, let alone his best 11, which is harsh, but perhaps.
It's harsh. It's harsh.
Perhaps somewhat fair, yes, indeed.
Well, I thought this was our optimistic season.
No, it isn't. Listen, Tux. Okay. It's you know, people can say, oh, don't be down and all that, but it's critical analysis. And if you don't see it and don't say it, well, we sit here and say, we were unbelievable at Blackburn. Right.
Then they would be asking for you to take
what's the point in having the show?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Right?
I think we've
what's
been...
the point? All you're doing is, when we play well, we will sit here and say, we were unbelievable. We moved the ball, we've done this, we've done that, we've done the other, blah, 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 blah. If we're average, we say, well, we were average. We were 50-50 for me. Decent first half, not so good second half. If you're poor, you sit here and say you're poor and you analyse why you're poor, why you think we were poor. Simple as that. This isn't like all the rest of the shows. We tell the truth, my friend.
We picked a few positives. Kenwyn Jones was a positive.
Plenty of positives.
Defenders were
plenty of positives. Plenty of positives.
I'm not sure about that goalkeeper though.
Oh, Marshall.
I thought Marshall should have saved him.
Should have sold him.
You think he should have saved him? Was it just me? Or should he have saved that? I know, I don't, you know.
What, that rocket?
No, he had those like weak wrists, you know, like that. Mesmerising.
Like belly dancer there.
You know, yeah, I thought it was a little bit. Maybe that was just the angle.
I think that's been.
Was that harsh? Was it? Okay. Positives. Yeah. Positives.
Oh, good grief. Good grief. So, I mean, looking forward to Huddersfield on the weekend, isn't it? When we get back to league, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing, but I am laughing. I feel so sorry for Mark Robbins. What a crazy
that is madness. I've never seen anything like that.
Bizarre.
I mean, even I don't think even Cardiff City would do
after one game, just in case.
Yeah, sacked after one home defeat to Bournemouth.
I always think to myself, right, if I was in that dressing room now, what would I be saying if I was a player? What I would be saying is, what was the point in letting him have all pre-season, bringing players in, blah, 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 blah. Now, after one game, you're going to change the whole philosophy of how we're going to play because a new manager's going to come in. But hey, not our problem. It's a game we should comfortably win, because that's what we can say this year. There's certain games you should be looking to win. Last year we were like, everything was like, maybe, maybe Southampton.
If things go the right
West
way.
Brom, you know, we don't know. But this year, Huddersfield, you know, yeah.
Put it this way, if they don't win that, I think, well, I don't even think I'll come on next week's show. He'll be way too negative even for me. No, I mean, come on, they just got done 4-0 at home. Their manager's been sacked.
Sometimes I can give you uplift.
I know people say that, but and come on, we're talking about Cardiff are supposed to be the favourites for this division. So, you know, home to their bottom or whatever it is. I know the table doesn't matter, but you know, being spanked. Come on. We're back in the Championship. If we're sat here next Monday saying, "Oh, that 1-0 defeat," I'm going to be
on the roof.
I'm going to be shocked and annoyed.
We've still got plenty. Look,
and if he's played a completely different side and a completely different system, the whole thing doesn't work again. Well, we're living in fear of a snowball effect. But
do we agree that's what will probably happen? Though it will be a significantly different team
against Huddersfield.
Partly because certain players will be back. But
yeah, I think it will. What, that played Friday? Or plays against Coventry?
That plays on the weekend, yeah, the next league game.
Yeah, I think it'll be somewhat different. I don't see how it can be.
Calla is obviously back from
massively different
suspension, so
you
expect him to...
You would expect.
But would you drop Hudson and Connolly after they played so well?
I don't know, would you?
No, I would not. Well, as a manager, you say if you got the shirt, it's yours. So if you play well,
you keep it. Yeah?
You keep your shirt.
I think you should.
The best way to destroy someone is tell them that, and then as soon as they play well, take the shirt off them and say, no, I was only joking. Out you go.
And let's be honest, defence-wise anyway, we said they was probably their best department on the night. You know, Blackburn. You know, you had Jordan Rhodes up there, who's one of the great. Best strikers in the division. And they were kept, let's be honest, relatively quiet. The only time they were breached was, ball robbed in midfield and a wonder strike. So all that back four probably this week could feel very aggrieved if they're not lining up against Huddersfield, irrespective of who's fit, really. I don't care who's fit. Or will we have someone brought in by then anyway? Well, if this Keane kid comes in...
You want to get that triangle, that keeper, 2 centre-halves. And then those 2 centre-halves, so you're 1 holding or 2 holding or whatever you want to play, or those 2 centre-halves with your midfield in front of them. That's so vital. Keeper, 2 centre-halves, 2 centre midfielders. Got to get that settled and sorted quickly.
Well, it's supposed to be Dicker choice. Apparently, they're going to be the.
I don't think anyone knows. I think if you put the question out there now, what is the starting 11? Cardiff starting 11. I bet you get probably 15 different teams. Simple as that.
It's all very familiar, isn't it?
Yeah.
From last season.
It's not only Solskjaer doesn't know his best side. Nobody knows the best side. The whole thing's a mystery, a great mystery.
Another thing that's familiar, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, significantly on Wednesday night when the Cardiff Coventry game is that there's protests, isn't it? There's joint protests between Coventry fans and Cardiff fans.
Why now?
That's only a game and a half into the season, but
what's the protest for?
Well, Coventry obviously because the game's up in
Northampton, yeah.
See, they've just presented
the two supporters trust sort of a protest to get how the fans have been let down. Modern football, I suppose. Obviously Cardiff with the usual gripes, etc. There's the new red stand. I don't know if you've been down
the Nathan Blake stand.
The never Nathan Blake stand would be more appropriate, I think.
The Nathan Blake snack bar up on the concourse.
Big, massive. Yeah. 12,000.
Well, that sausage sandwich you were putting down, I can see you up there.
No, I have. And to be fair, I have to say, I take my hat off to Mr. Tan for doing the stadium because it looks absolutely magnificent. But okay, the red seats is okay, but seats can be removed quite easily. But as a stadium now, it's looking magnificent.
It's weird. It looks good, that stand.
It looks beautiful.
Looks good.
It looks beautiful.
Aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
I don't know about that Ayatollah thing.
Yeah.
If it was in
blue.
I can't believe we have to go over this.
It looks great. But the downside is the stadium's not going to be as full as what it should or what it normally was last season. and that can sometimes detract, I think, from performances playing in an emptier stadium then.
What sort of crowds will they get for?
I don't know. What season ticket? What did the season ticket
for a
stand
home
up?
game against a team like Huddersfield? Do you think?
If I had to estimate, I'd say about on the first home game of the season, Saturday afternoon against Huddersfield, 18,000.
Yeah.
That sound about right? I don't know.
18 to 20. But I'm not sure.
But that's pure conjecture.
The last I heard was 13,000 season tickets.
Was it 13? Was
the last I heard, I'm sure. Yeah.
You should get a good walk-up crowd, shouldn't you? I mean, in the sense of, if it's you can buy tickets there. I take it. I don't know. I'm not negative. If it's sunny and you're like, oh well, let's go and let's go and choose Solskjaer's side for him because he's incapable of doing it. No, let's go and watch Cardiff.
Come on now.
Hey. Like, see you'll be up in the red stand this season.
I will, with my red scarf,
and red bobble
my
hat,
red boxer shorts, my red jacket.
Just boxer shorts.
Yeah,
the temperature's dropping, mate. I don't want you catching a chill.
Okay, let's get back to the questions.
Let's have a few comments from Jacob's had a go at picking his team.
Go on, Jake. That'll be interesting.
Which is the same back five.
Yeah.
Same keepers, same back four. Then Darley, Witts, Adeyemi. So just Adeyemi in for Bergstaller, Lafondra and Kenwyn Jones. He's gone for.
Well, I thought Bergstaller played really well against Wolfsburg on that left-hand side. Got past his defender a couple of times. Got a few crosses in. Was in position defensively well. I thought he played quite well.
And definitely the thing that was lacking was width, as we said, wasn't it? There was no service.
Yeah, because strike. What happens with that role, right, is strikers tend to play, you want to play through the middle, and when you're in the middle, you make your runs out, not wide outside the full-backs, but in between the full-backs. So what tends to happen with that system as a striker, you get caught in between. You're not sure whether to play up front against Kenwyn or as a winger, and because you're not a winger, you tend to resort back to, muscle memory, go back to what you know. So you drift in. But there's so many times you needed width on Friday night, but you're not going to get that from strikers because ultimately your thing is, right, I got to be in the middle because of the box. I want to be in the box. Whereas if you're somewhere like Darley, who's naturally a winger, or Noon, who's naturally
or Bergstaller,
what you'll see them is they'll play outside to move in rather than inside to move out. Do you know what I mean? Because what's happening at the moment, strikers are going inside all the time. So when you're Brayford and you look up, you're not now seeing Noon coming towards you. You're seeing Lafondra running across into the striker position. Do you know what I mean? So it detracts from your options then. And that's why I say you need that Gunnarsson, that player who holds midfield, has to be a ball passer or a linker. Doesn't have to be spraying 60-yard pack, but he has to be the kind of player who links all the play. Because if I haven't got my first option as my winger, or I can't hit my striker, I want to go into my central midfielder, even if he gives it back to me, just to change the angle, just to give people movement and allow people to move. And that's why I say those two wide players, if you're going to play strikers there, you've got to work on that rotation, how they get around Kenwyn, where they come, how deep. I know it because I played the position for Wales. After I moved from striker out to like a right-sided of a 3, and Hearts was up front, and I played one side, and sometimes I think it was Speedo or Giggsy played the other side of a 3. And the amount of work Sparky and Eddie Nizareski and Bose did with myself, and going back to and trying to get that memory back of thinking as a winger more than a striker. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. It sounds like, oh, you should just be able to do it, but you've got to work on it. Definitely got to work on it, and it takes time.
Indeed, no, good stuff. Good stuff. A couple more comments then. Somebody agreeing here, Bergstaller looked good down the left, as you were saying. I don't know if this one's serious, but it says if we lose Boyo99 says, if we lose to Huddersfield, Solskjaer should go.
I love the fans.
He's been spending too much time in Huddersfield, in the Huddersfield boardroom. But
we didn't have the team.
You know
though.
what?
We didn't have the team.
You know what? I
Didn't have the lads' team, did we? Did you give the full team?
Yeah,
The back four, the keeper.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Who was up front?
Lafondra and Kenwyn Jones.
As a 4-4-2 then.
Yeah.
Wide.
Bergstaller.
And I suppose it's Daly. Let's talk about Daly quickly, because a lot of people I picked up on and spoken to were disappointed with him on Friday, because he was the great hope for this season, and he was pretty anonymous, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he had a great game, and I'm not sure that positioning kind of helped him. Like a lot of the positions. I mean, as you say, he's much more preferring to get forward, work out on the flank, and maybe cut inside and all that up there. But no, not a brilliant game. But you know, expect him to make a big impact this season, though, in the Championship, all the same. You're not going to slag him off.
No, I never. Listen, I don't slag him off. I just not as, I'm going to say, impressed as what maybe you are about him. Do you know what I mean?
Me and
I think he's a good player, but everyone who says to me, everyone who I speak to, as soon as they mention his name, they say to me, oh, he keeps the ball. And I'm like, why is that a plus? That's just the norm. You're supposed to keep the ball. Not supposed to give it away. You're supposed to keep the ball. Some are better than others, granted, but as an attacking midfielder, a wide man, whatever you want to call him, I'm judging you on goals, crosses, assists. How many times you beat your fullback? Do you beat him inside and outside? How many chances, how many crosses you get in? How many assists did you get? That's basically it. And I think if you look at those statistics, I don't think they blow anything out of water. I think if you put his statistics next to Noon's statistics, you'd see the difference in crosses and assists would be heavily in favour of Noon, I would say. So for me, good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player. Potentially could be a very good player, but he's just a good player at the moment.
Would you start him?
No. Not in my best 11, no.
No.
Which is
Interesting.
Why?
This is where he names 12 players.
Why? I couldn't. I
named 10 and he
I
named
couldn't
12.
tell you my best 11 off the bat. Now you'd have to give me a sheet and I'd go through it. But he
But
wouldn't be
you
in
have to
my
buy him a
best
couple of
because
pints.
there's only two positions he can play. It's either wide right or wide left for me, or on the right or on the left hand side. But no, I wouldn't start him.
Okay, it's good in the middle, isn't he? I thought that was his best position.
No, I thought. Yeah, I thought.
Well,
he
I
was
don't know.
surging runs.
Number 10 is it behind the front man? Because he played one of the three, or one of Gunnison Holden and Whitnam and him ahead. I think if he's got to beat a midfielder and then a defensive player, he's not got the pace or the power to do that. I think worst case scenario, you put him up against a fullback, yeah, or you put him in a position where he's beyond the midfield. So his only line, the line of defence is the defence. You've got one line to beat before he's facing the keeper. I don't think you know, I don't know. That's just my personal. I'm getting a bit too technical, I think.
A bit too
It
technical
is,
for
isn't
us.
it? Yeah.
That's me immortal.
This is not. Hey, this is not a technical show. Succession of critical
Wake up.
comments and the odd bad joke thrown in. That's what this is all about.
Indeed. I mean, let's talk about the players who've left then as the season starts. We talked about the ones that have come in. Who's the biggest loss? Because in the end, all the speculation, the sagas that went on, everybody has pretty much gone now, haven't they? Obviously, Medell finally completed that.
Campbell and Much.
Campbell and Much.
For me, I think Medell was always going to be a shortstop, regardless of what you thought. I
think he said that on the day he signed us.
Yeah,
It's
well,
a stepping
Well,
stone.
it was so obvious, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, you know, I think Kolka. Some raved about his season last year, some didn't. I was in the camp that didn't. Thought he was good without being great. And I think he can be replaced in the Championship, definitely. But for me, I don't think you can replace Fraser's work rate. I think in the Championship he would have probably got 15 to 20 goals. And Jordan, I just felt that Jordan was the kind of player that you probably look to build a team around over the next year or two, because he was so influential when he did play in the Premier League. I just felt, because of his age, his stature, and what he'd done, you know, imagine a holding midfielder like a, I don't know, a Lee Catton will say, certainly back for Whittingham on the left of central midfield, and then Much on the right. You know, that little diamond trio there, you got everything, and you can say to Jordan, do what you're best at.
They missed Much at Blackburn.
They don't
more than anyone.
Be running beyond.
That's what I mean. Yeah. There was no that link up was missing. That
Fraser
what he brought, that
and
momentum.
Jordan for me were.
Well, I'd say Much. For me, I mean,
good business though. £6 million.
I don't think so. I think
he had a year left on his contract.
Yeah, well, I think you give him a nice fat contract and tell him, you know.
To be fair, he didn't. Well, Ollie said he didn't want one.
Sign him.
He didn't want one.
He didn't want to stay.
Go back to
well,
the
if you
Premier
convince
League.
it, if you try and convince him that what you're doing in future is he's going to be at the heart of it, and he still wants to leave, then there's not much you can do. But it depends what dream you're selling to the boy.
I think Medell's obviously a big, massive loss, but it's just an imaginary having him in the Championship. Anyway, it was so obvious he was going, so you'd have to say Much was a loss, because there was a hope that they might be able to hold on to him, and as Nathan said, that, and like what a big player he would have been, maybe building things around him.
I think he probably could have got 12 to 15 goals this season, gone into the Premier League. I would have said the way he played in the Premier League last time around, I was surprised, like British born, 10 million quid all day, you know what I mean? All day. I thought he was worth like 8-10 million quid now, because he had such a good, you know, Premier League campaign, if you look at all things considered. And his age as well, you know, he's a kid still. So I was surprised at 5 million quid. I don't think that's a lot at all.
Adeyemi is the replacement. Digger-Choy is the replacement for Medell.
Yeah,
Adeyemi for Much.
Adeyemi's a little bit of an unknown quantity. I think.
Yeah, Ollie came across him a good few years back. He said, didn't he? Basically,
not in the Manchester United reserves, was it? But he came across everybody a few years ago.
I think it was.
Yeah. Oh, was it? All right.
It was when Manchester United reserves played.
Oh, right. He was somebody else's reserves. Oh, right. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I have to reserve judgment on him, and Digger-Choy the same. I'm not quite sure what his injury is, or he's not ready, or. I mean, come back to what we said earlier. For all this preparation, we're suddenly in the season now, and everything feels a little bit still not nailed down.
Still yet to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not expecting everything to be set in stone, like da-da, because I know people go and people come back. For all this early business, I think I said at the start of the show, for all this early business, we seem to be a little bit
unsettled.
Making it up as we go along early on, and that worries me a little bit. But you know, yeah, I think as Nathan says, well, you're talking about the best 11. Adeyemi and Digger-Choy and Guerra, they're all completely almost unknown quantities. These guys could be world beaters for all we know. They could come in and just be like, wow, thank goodness, this is the future. So, but allied to that is, to my original point, is a lot of unknowns. And as the season unfolds, I don't want too many unknowns.
Give us their, you know, like we said, best 11, best 16. Everyone's would be different right now. Do you know what I mean? Every
game must be a learning process, won't it? But the problem is, as you're learning, you've got to pick up points.
No, Theophile, would you play him instead of Brayford?
There's a player whose stock seems to have fallen.
Right.
Again, just generally with people. It wasn't that long ago. He's a very good player.
Well, I think he's a good player.
A lot of people now think he's. I know he had some really bad games last year. He had a couple of shockers, didn't he?
Yeah, but he did have some really good games as well. I mean, he was
you're allowed a couple of shockers.
He seems to have completely gone out with the picture, doesn't he?
Well, you know, I mean, first evidence of Brayford in competitive action. It's not much. Wasn't I sat here calling for Brayford?
And I think he could play probably centre half in this division as well, quite comfortably. You know what I mean? And you know, it's a bit pacier.
Don't confuse us with more options. Yeah, we've got too many options going down here. Can't see the wood for the trees of all these players.
We've got so many players. We've got 40-odd pros. It's massive. We've got a massive.
And then again, we still haven't got enough centre halves.
We still haven't got ridiculously massive.
There's a bit. few more comments there. Jacob saying he thinks Adeyemi will be a good player for us. Quite a few people saying if players don't want to stay, as none of those players did, then it is best to get rid of them. Carl saying that much. Colker and Campbell all had it written into their contracts that they could go if relegated for a certain price. Will they be missed? In my opinion, no.
It's crazy. I mean, they only got
Steve says much provided us with that drive from midfield. We don't have anyone like him left. He's a big loss for us, as you would probably say.
As I say, I would have liked to see now this season. I would have liked to really see Joe Mason. He's the player who I would have liked to see playing like a free kind of role in that number 10 kind of position, or the advanced midfielder. Or I think he's not pacey, but he can play that wide of the top 3 because he's intelligent. He makes such good runs. You don't have to be quick. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be lightning quick to get him behind. You just have to know, like, when defenders are not looking or switch off or whatever, just make a good run. I think, I think he's almost been totally overlooked, like Joe. And yeah, that one disappointed me because he can play centre forward, he can play wide left, wide right, he can play as an advanced midfielder. You know, he's.
Of course, he's gone to
and he
Bolton.
scores goals
For Bolton.
You know.
Now.
Tommy Smith scored for Brentford on the weekend.
Oh, that's another mistake. But I think Tommy Smith. It's not like we got enough options in midfield. Tommy Smith in there, man. No, yeah, Brentford. Wow, okay. It's cool.
Back to London.
It's a good thing.
Indeed.
I'm glad for him because he's a really nice bloke. But yeah.
No, we need you at the end. That's 2 games for your predictions to start the old predictions bandwagon.
Do we have to? Oh,
predictions
after
for
our success
they were
last
so successful
season.
last season.
How many times, if all the games we said Cardiff were going to win had actually happened last season, we not only would
Champions
we
League.
not, yeah, we were. I surely Europa League at the minimum we'd have been in.
Let's start with the Coventry game. We expect a weakened side. There's actually been a press conference going on.
What happens if you're drawing after 90? Is it penalties?
Extra time and pens, I should
Extra time
think.
and pens these days, yeah.
I'll
Done on the
go
night.
Cardiff in extra time, 2-1.
I'll go for Cardiff 2-0 in 90 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, and Huddersfield? Managerless Huddersfield?
It should.
Rudderless Huddersfield. I'm going to go Cardiff 1-0.
One.
Yeah, I don't see them scoring. I think they'll be all over the place. I think, you know, we look decent back 5, like I said, against Blackburn. I'm going to go, yeah.
No,
1-0.
I was more thinking Cardiff might get a couple more than that. I'll go for 3-0 Cardiff. Will I ever learn? How long have I been on this? Yeah, what does they say about, you know, madness is making the same mistake and expecting a different outcome?
Correct.
Get that every week on here.
Indeed, everyone's seeming confident. Predictions here: 1-0 Cardiff against Coventry, 3-0 Cardiff against Huddersfield. Same as you, Tux. Carl just making the point we can't judge the new players yet.
Correct.
So it's all about opinions.
Correct.
Let's see.
Correct.
where we
So
go
how can you
in.
name your best 11? Or best 16 or best 18? You couldn't.
Well, that's what Ollie's got to do. Right?
Couldn't.
Boyo's
That's all
99 saying can't understand how Theophile has been dismissed. Looked good in the Premier League at times. Better player.
Is he not injured then?
Better player than Brayford.
I don't think so, no.
Theophile's not injured?
In
defence.
Not that I know of.
Wow.
Just got out of the picture during.
Was he on the bench?
Well,
No.
he had a bereavement, didn't he, when they were on
Oh, right.
on tour and he went.
Because he was linked with a move. Was it? Where's he
To
from?
Arsenal.
No, wasn't that? No, it was a move back to France, but I can't remember what.
Saint-Etienne.
It was Lens, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
Question.
I saw that link, but I don't know if that ever happened.
A little bit of any other business from Sam. What do you guys think about Hudson being chased by Leeds? Obviously, we've been singing his praises for that performance. Would you
Did I let him go?
let him go? Yeah.
No. I wouldn't.
Absolutely not. No, I don't
wouldn't.
think so.
Do you think they will let him go once they've got
Yes,
1 or 2 in?
I do. I don't think the...
So we've got this odd situation
Well, as
again
soon
with
as
the
he-
captaincy. We've got a club captain and he's captain whenever he plays, and we think Marshall is going to be the captain when Hudson doesn't play.
Well, I mean, it's like Blakey said earlier. How do you feel? You put in a great performance, you and Connolly, you come off, and the manager's saying, well, we still need 2 centre halves. And you're like, oh, great, you know. It's like me finishing here and hearing someone say, oh, well, we still need somebody, a sidekick for Blakey. Do you know what I mean?
How important is a captain when you're a player in the squad?
Listen,
is it really, some people would say it's really important, others I think would say it doesn't matter.
Of course it matters, in case you wouldn't have captains.
And what about that situation where you have a club captain who generally doesn't get in the team?
It's a nightmare. It's bad enough that he doesn't get in the team. It's even worse when you know the manager doesn't fancy him. You know what I mean? And he's on the verge of going, or he might not be on the verge of going, just might not be involved, but he's club captain. You know, your captain is your leader. You know, works in every other sport. It works in war. It works in whatever. Your captain is your leader, and you know, he's the one who on a Saturday, if things ain't going according to plan, you'll say we need to, and he'll say, yeah, organise, you know, you tuck inside rather than play wide or whatever. You know, a captain is like the extension of the manager. You know what I mean? You know, if things ain't going right and the captain makes decisions, the manager won't come and say, right, John, Nathan, Steve, what are you 3 doing, blah, blah, because you say, well, Mark changed it on the pitch because it wasn't working. And then the gaffer and Mark, okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You know, he's got that right to do that. Captain is, you know, vital important to any organisation.
And what about a goalkeeper being captain, as Marshall will generally be?
Yeah, I never really agreed with that one. You know what I mean? I always like to see it either the centre half or the centre midfielder. Don't ask me why. You know, you can have a full back as it. You know, someone like Maldini, great left back, great captain, great player. He played left back predominantly, but centre half. But you know, I think most managers, if they could pick one position to have their captain, it would probably be centre back. So, you know, Marshall's not a bad thing, but I would prefer. I just personally prefer centre half. Then I would say a centre mid.
It's weird. I mean, with the Hudson situation of him going, that we're probably both sat here and a chap on there saying same back four for Huddersfield, you know, and that's Hudson in that, and it is still doubts hanging over him. But I think one thing's for certain is that...
Is there doubts about his playing, or is there a personality clash? That's what I'm not sure of. Because whether you like it or not, personality clashes between managers and players, they happen all the time. So is it the fact that he's... Because if you're playing well and you're club captain, why are you being asked, or why are you being saying, yeah, you're okay to go? Why is this rumour around you going? You know, why doesn't the manager step up and say, Leeds United, you're mad. Well, because club captain, not touching him with a badge pole.
The mad thing is that...
You know what I mean? So is there a personality clash?
Well, it might be, because when you think about it, the promotion season...
You should know this.
Hudson was captain of... Hudson was the player of the season the year they went up. I know he didn't play hardly last year, he's had some injuries, but, you know, okay, he's another year or so older, but you don't go from being championship winning captain and player of the year, voted for by fans and everybody, this is the guy who really did it for us, to like... See you later. And then, I mean, I can't imagine. You say a personality clash. Well, Hudson and Solskjaer. Well, it's possible. But I was going to say, it's like me and Dooley arguing. The two nicest people.
And if it's the case, if there's a personality clash, then yeah, he would have to go. But personally, you know, if there's not a personality clash, no, I wouldn't. I don't understand why.
But one thing's for certain, you want the back line sorted, and because that, if we look back to that last season when they went up the championship winning season, remember that back line was like boom, Taylor, Turner, Hudson. Who's the other one? I was going to say not McNaughton. Was it him, or did they have someone else?
Oh, when they went up.
Those household names that we all remember, apart from myself. Yeah. But you know, but it wasn't it? It was like, you know, I remember we used to do the preview panels then before the games. You know, you'd have who's going to play, and it was you knew, barring injury or abduction by aliens, those were the guys. And I personally, and I think a lot of people agree, I'd like to get back to that sooner rather than later. You know, but Brayford, Calla, whoever, Fabio, whatever.
Week in, week out.
And this is working. They're not. They're proving hard to break down. They're letting in one goal every 3 games. Great. So when you've got, like, you've just started with these 2 guys, what Connolly, nobody thinks he should be a regular. Hudson, he's off to Leeds. Well, it's the same old, you know.
Connolly, of course, was the right back.
Yeah.
Connolly was the right
Yeah,
back.
he was in the championship.
he scored
And we
his
said
goals
earlier,
from
I
it.
was waiting for you. I was waiting for you to say it.
Well, hang on, you not correcting me. You forgot.
Oh, but we haven't corrected John. I'm not going to correct you either.
You can't correct everybody, can you? I mean, it's too much like hard work. There's so many mistakes. But get a settled back four and go and build from there.
Yeah.
Start from there. And you just the theme of the show this week. I don't want to be Mr. Theme, but it is more questions than answers. I think going on, and the longer that goes, the more nervous I get. And Solskjaer just have to be glad he's not got the Huddersfield board.
But you as a fan, as a fan of the club, you almost you have to show confidence in the manager's decision and believe that he knows what he's doing and he's going to get it right. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Doesn't there have to be at some point evidence that is the case?
Yeah,
though?
but we are now. This is what I'm saying. I did say last season. This season is where you will judge Solskjaer.
So you're almost saying that ain't. Remember, he had half of last season. Are we supposed to do? We just put all that aside.
No, don't put
now,
it aside because you've seen like evidence of how we swapped and changed. But exactly. My thing was it was two philosophies he was working in between. This season now it's his philosophy. This is him. Okay. So the worrying thing is seeing the same sort of mistakes that you see.
Just early indications, aren't there? You know, I mean, there's the people were looking at that Blackburn game going, "What's he trying? I can't see why you." There was too much. What?
You don't want to be known as a tinker man. Anyway,
where's the character of the side? I mean, always under Dave Jones and under Malky Mackay. Whatever fault you might say about these kind of guys, their team had a character. All right, under Mackay, people often didn't like that character. It's dour, you know. Won the championship, being dour and rubbish, but it's hard to break down. Wasn't exciting.
Jones's, wasn't it?
You know, and Jones had his own style. You know, he chops and give him free rein. Whatever you say about it, there was you could say, that's a Jones side, that's a so-and-so, that's a Mackay side. I'm still thinking, what the hell does a Solskjaer side look like? Still not got evidence of what that is, and I want to see that. Everybody does.
Hopefully it won't be long. We'll see it.
We will.
You will. It's great to have it back, though, isn't it? It's brilliant to have the football. God, that World Cup. Oh, it's rubbish. Terrible.
As you can see, we spent a lot of money from the parachute payments.
Yeah, if you like parachute
payments, we've done the. We've done the new studio.
£10.50 we got for coming down. We
are improving.
We're having a new set. We're having a new set.
Very soon, hopefully next week, but possibly the week after. It's out of my control.
We'll be getting to April, there'll be no new set. I'm hoping this...
Slightly new format as well. We're going to break it up a bit. Obviously, with holidays and things recently, we haven't quite...
We're going to raise it to the level of amateurs.
It's
got that pre-season rustiness about it still.
Yeah, like Ollie.
Yeah.
We don't know our best show. We don't know our best set yet, do we?
More questions than answers.
Indeed.
Great start. Great questions.
Though,
Great questions from the guys.
Good to be back.
And gals.
On that note, we will leave it there. Thank you indeed for all those questions and opinions. Much appreciated as always. And again, as always, we'll be live Wednesday night for that cup game against Coventry. And of course, we'll be live on Saturday afternoon when Cardiff take on Huddersfield. We'll be back Monday, 1 o'clock. See you then.